But Reverend Gautama, is there any sacrifice that is more profitable than these 5? There is Brahmin. What is it, Reverend Gautama? Brahmin, a Tathagata arises in this world, Arahan, Samasambuddha, etc. He, having realized by his own super knowledge, proclaims this world with his devas, maras and brahmas. He preaches the Dhamma, which is lovely in its beginning, lovely in its middle, lovely in its ending. And a disciple goes forth and practices the moralities. Then he is perfected in morality and attains the 4 jhanas. These are the various stages of the practice of the holy life, charana or conduct. That Brahmin is a sacrifice more profitable. Then he attains various insights, ending in the cessation of the corruptions or asavas. And this refers to the 8 knowledges gained from the practice of the holy life. The various psychic powers and culminating in the destruction of the asavas, meaning liberation or enlightenment. And the Buddha says, he knows there is nothing further in this world. That Brahmin is a sacrifice that is simpler, less difficult, more fruitful, and more profitable than all the others. And beyond this, there is no sacrifice that is greater or more perfect. So here the Buddha is saying the highest highest merit you can achieve is to practice the holy life, go through all the various practices of the holy life and attain all the knowledges and finally liberation or enlightenment, meaning destruction of the asavas. And there is nothing greater or more perfect, more meritorious than this. And Kutadanta said, excellent, Reverend Gautama, excellent. It is as if someone were to set up what had been knocked down, or to point out the way to one who got lost, or to bring an oil lamp into the dark place so that those with eyes could see what was there. Just so the Reverend Gautama has expounded the Dhamma in various ways. May the Reverend Gautama accept me as a lay follower from this day forth as long as life shall last. And Reverend Gautama, I set free the 700 bulls, 700 bullocks, 700 heifers, 700 he-goats and 700 rams. I grant them life. Let them be fed with green grass and be given cool water to drink, and let cool breezes play upon them. Then the Lord delivered a graduated discourse to Kutadanta on generosity, on morality and on heaven, showing the danger, degradation and corruption of sense desires, and the profit of renunciation. And when the Lord knew that Kutadanta's mind was ready, pliable, free from the hindrances, joyful and calm, then he preached a sermon on Dhamma in brief, on suffering, its origin, its cessation, and the path leading to the cessation of suffering. And just as a clean cloth from which all stains have been removed receives the dye perfectly, so in the Brahmin Kutadanta, as he sat there arose the pure and spotless Dhamma eye, and he knew whatever things have an origin must come to cessation. Then Kutadanta, having seen, attained, experienced and penetrated the Dhamma, having passed beyond doubt, transcended uncertainty, having gained perfect confidence in the teacher's doctrine without relying on others, said, May the Reverend Gautama and his Sangha of monks accept a meal from me tomorrow. Stop here for a moment. So here you see, very often in the suttas, when a person listens to the Dhamma with proper attention or careful attention, which is yoniso manasikara, then he understands. And when he understands, he has passed beyond doubt, transcended uncertainty, gained perfect confidence in the Buddha's Dhamma. So which means he has attained stream entry. Stream entry always in the suttas is attained by this way. And I met a person who said he read, somebody said, wrote that maybe when you listen to the Dhamma, you can attain stream entry, but not studying the books. But if you think carefully, I think studying the books, the suttas, are as good as listening to the Buddha talking to you, because these are the exact words of the Buddha. In fact, if you think about it, I think reading the book is even better. Why? Because if you listen to the Buddha's words, you just listen once, and if you don't catch it, the Buddha is already talking about something else. Whereas you read the book, you can read it over and over again. You can take your time to digest. You can read it 1,000 times. You can read it 2,000 times if you like. And slowly, because you read slowly, you have more time to digest the words rather than listen to the Buddha. The Buddha will only speak once. What is past is past. So unless your mind is very sharp, you just listen once, you can catch the meaning of what the Buddha says. Then you understand and you attain stream entry. But if you have the book in front of you, exactly the Buddha's words, you take your time to digest what is every sentence you read. You take your time to digest every word the Buddha says. You take your time to slowly understand. So to me, reading the book is even better than listening to the Buddha just once. Unless, like nowadays, you have the CD, you can listen again and again as many times as you want. In which case, it's as good as reading the book. So it's not like some people say, and some people they only talk about meditation. And if you say you can attain stream entry by reading the book or listening to the suttas, they say that is only book knowledge. Yes, book knowledge, but that's how people attain the stream entry. You look at the suttas and the Vinaya. They just listen to the Buddha once only, and they attain stream entry. That is book knowledge, The Lord assented by silence. Then Kutadanta, seeing his consent, rose, saluted the Lord, passed by to his right, and departed. As day was breaking, he caused hard and soft food to be prepared at his place of sacrifice. And when it was ready, he announced, Reverend Gotama, it is time. The meal is ready. And the Lord, having risen early, went with robe and bowl, and attended by his monks to Kutadanta's place of sacrifice, and sat down on the prepared seat. And Kutadanta served the Buddha and his monks with the finest foods with his own hands until they were satisfied. And when the Lord had eaten and taken his hand away from the bowl, Kutadanta took a low stool and sat down to one side. And the Lord, having instructed Kutadanta with the talk on Dhamma, fired him with enthusiasm and delighted him, rose from his seat and departed. That's the end of the sutta. So, here is telling us, this sutta is telling us how to make a proper sacrifice. If you want to pray to heaven, you do it with these 16 modes and all that. But if you want something more meritorious and simpler, then either you give food to wandering monks regularly, whatever ascetics come to your home, you give them. That is more beneficial. Or like some people, they go to the monastery to offer food regularly. The thing is, the notice here is regular. Regular family gifts are given to virtuous ascetics. If you give once in a blue moon, it's not so meritorious. This is very regular. Then higher than this is providing shelter for the Sangha from the 4 directions. That means any monk can come, for example, to build a monastery. In Thailand, because people know this, many people want to offer land, In Malaysia, it's very hard to find somebody who wants to offer land to build a monastery. When I had intentions to build a monastery, nobody offered me anything. But in Thailand, once I went to this forest monastery, and this deputy abbot, I was talking to him. He told me they have, 5 or 12 branch monasteries. And he said many people still want to offer land, but they dare not accept because their Sangha will be spread too thin to few monks. So they don't have so many monks to go around. So they don't want to accept all the land that is offered to them. Then higher than all these material gifts is to take refuge in the Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha. And higher than that is to undertake the precepts, refrain from harming any beings. So you notice here carefully, Dana is lower than Sila. Dana, first is the sacrifice. Higher than the sacrifice is regular giving of food to monks who go Pindabat. Higher than that is to provide land for a monastery. And then higher than that is going for refuge. And then higher than that is to keep the Sila. So Sila is much higher than Dana. But higher than all this is going forth. becoming a monk and practicing the charana, the various stages of conduct or practice of the holy life, and as a result attain the various knowledges that come under Vijja. The Buddha is called Vijja Charana Sampanno, perfect in conduct and knowledge. The Buddha has perfected the conduct of the holy life, the practice of the holy life, and also the knowledges. The Buddha has all the knowledges. So that is the highest. There is nothing higher than attaining arahanthood. But even if you don't attain arahanthood, if you listen, you read the Nikayas, listen to the sutta talks again and again, constantly, and you understand, you attain stream entry, that is good enough. No more, you will no more be reborn into woeful plains once you become an Arya. Then you are secure already, you're not afraid of samsara anymore, you're not afraid of rebirth anymore. A lot of people, when they are dying at the last moment, full of fear because they are going to be reborn into a woeful plane of existence. Okay, we have taken about 1 hour. Anything to discuss? Very good. Tonight you can cover 2 Digha Nikaya long discourses in 1 hour. But these 2 discourses are not very deep. Very deep. Both also about Brahmins. I suggest you don't turn it off. Actually, in the Vinaya books, a layman can become an arahant. But it is very rare. If a layman becomes an arahant, it means in his previous life he had already attained the 4 jhanas. We find in the Vinaya books when the Buddha, after the Buddha was enlightened and he wanted to seek disciples, he would use his heavenly eye to look out for people. And I believe that he will look out for those who have attained the 4 jhanas first. So there was a man called Yasa. He was a family man with at least 4 wives, very wealthy. And every night the slave girls will dance for him and sing and dance for him. And then he will be enjoying himself, drinking liquor and all that, and watching them sing and dance until he falls asleep. And then when he falls asleep, those girls have danced for so long, they're so tired, they sleep on the floor. So one night this happened, and the Buddha used the psychic power to make him wake up in the middle of the night. So when he woke up, he saw all these slaves sleeping on the ground, half naked, their hair disheveled, and this saliva flowing and all these things. So it reminded him of corpses. Probably in his previous life he had contemplated corpses. So when he saw, immediately struck him dukkha. So he didn't want to see, walked out of the house. And the Buddha must have used the psychic power to attract him. So he kept walking up to the gate. Normally the city gates are closed at night, right? But when he reached the city gates opened. And then he walked out of the city gates, continued walking until he came to the forest where the Buddha was waiting for him. So he came to the Buddha and also said, dukkha, dukkha. In the middle of the night, probably he was also blur, half asleep. So the Buddha said, Yasa, sit down here. There is no dukkha here. So when he heard the Buddha say there is no dukkha here, happily he sat down. Then the Buddha taught the Dhamma to him. Basically about the 4 Noble Truths. What I have tried to copy in my book called The Message of the Buddha. So when he heard the Buddha's teaching on the 4 Noble Truths, he attained stream entry. The next morning, the father came looking for him because the family is very wealthy. So the father was worried and might have been kidnapped or something. And the mother was worried sick. So the father walked and found his slippers halfway. So followed his sandals or slippers to the forest where the Buddha was waiting. And Yasa was sitting beside the Buddha. And the Buddha used a psychic power so that the father could not see the son. So the father came to ask the Buddha whether he had seen Yasa. And the Buddha said, sit down. In a short while, you'll probably see Yasa. So when he heard the Buddha say, you'll be able to see Yasa in a short while, he quickly sat down. So the Buddha talked to him the same discourse about the Four Noble Truths. Hearing it for the first time, the father attained stream entry. And Yasa hearing it a second time, attained arahanthood. Then after that, the Buddha took away the shield. And then the father saw the son. And the father told the son, your mother is pining for you. You better quickly go home. The mother is all upset. So the Buddha told the father, said, Yasa is a different person. He cannot go home anymore. Then the father realized. So since the father himself had attained the Dhamma eye, so the father realized. So the father accepted it. So after that, Yasa became a monk. So once a lay person attains arahanthood, he will no more want to go home. That self, that lay self, has died. That's why the Buddha says, his disciples are born from his mouth. When a person renounces, the lay person has died. The lay person that he was has died. He's like reborn again, a different person. And the Buddha says, we are Sakya Putta, sons of the Sakyan. We are born from the Buddha's mouth. Why born from the Buddha's mouth? Because the Buddha from his mouth preached the Dhamma to us, and we listen to the Dhamma from the Buddha's mouth, and we become a totally different person. We are reborn. We renounce and reborn. So you see from there, a lay person can become an arahant. But after that, he does not go back to the lay life anymore.
There are paintings given to the Buddha, but the Buddha only used one. That is the Tathagata. What is the meaning of Tathagata and why he used the painting?
Tathagata. Gata is gone. And Tatha is dasa. Das. The ruler, ru putong, the ruler. So in Chinese, this Tathagata, I think is my opinion is thus gone one. But sometimes they say this gata, Tathagata is Tatha agata. So they say thus come one. So in Chinese they say thus come one. But I think thus gone one is more logical because the Buddha has gone, is no more what he was. The self has gone.
If the person is very good at meditation, can he use meditation to substitute sleep? That means you don't sleep at all, just meditate all night and continuously, day after day. You really have any adverse effects on yourself?
It depends. If a person has attained very strong samadhi, then he rests in the samadhi. Like the Buddha says that there are different types of postures. The lion posture is to lie down on your right side and sleep. And then to lie down on your left side and sleep is the luxurious posture. To lie flat and sleep is the ghost posture. And the Buddha said the Buddha posture is to enter the jhanas. So the Buddha, when he enters the jhana, he charges himself. But even then, the Buddha has to lie down. Sometimes when he speaks to his disciples and he feels a bit tired, but the monks are still fresh, they are not sleepy, and he asks another disciple like Sariputta to take over and give a talk to the monks. He says, my back aches, I need to lie down. Then he will lie down. But when he lies down, he's still awake. In the monks' Vinaya, an arahant cannot be faulted at one. Arahant cannot be said, cannot be accused of doing any wrong. Why? Because an arahant is mindful 24 hours a day. Arahant has sati 24 hours a day. So, in other words, even when an arahant rests, he is mindful. So, an arahant to me does not sleep like we do. An arahant does not dream. Why? Because an arahant has destroyed the flow of these uncontrolled mental outflows. That's why I call asava uncontrolled mental outflows. As long as you are not enlightened, you cannot control your asavas, your outflows of the mind. The mind tends to think, tends to daydream, tends to night dream. But an arahant has destroyed this flow. When an arahant thinks, it is purposeful. It is controlled outflow. Arahant can also think. Arahant also can have emotion, but all control. So he does not sleep like an ordinary person. So because an arahant, his mind is so strong that he does not sleep like ordinary people. He is mindful 24 hours a day. So unless you have attained the 4 jhanas, how can you be mindful 24 hours a day? Nowadays you find a lot of meditation teachers, they say sleep mindfully. How to sleep mindfully if you don't have a 4th jhana? Once you sleep, you are no more mindful. Pang tua chia liao. Gone don't know where.
In reference to, I can't remember which the scholars, one of the scholars was saying that the Kutadanta are more for new leaders or non-leaders, more to bring them into the religion, to get them to build up their confidence, whereas
Yeah, I agree. That's why I spoke those 3 Nikayas first. The Anguttara Nikaya is short discourses, and a lot of the discourses in the Anguttara Nikaya concern lay people. So that's why I generally encourage people to listen to the Anguttara Nikaya first. And then the 2 most important Nikayas to me are the Sangyutta Nikaya and the Majjhima Nikaya. The Sangyutta Nikaya has 56 chapters dealing with all the important topics of the spiritual path, the Bodhipakya Dhammas. So a lot of people, for example, on Satipatthana, they say the Satipatthana Sutta is very important, and they study the Satipatthana Sutta and they think they understand Satipatthana. From one sutta, I don't believe they understand Satipatthana. But if you study the Satipatthana Sangyutta, there are so many suttas there describing Satipatthana from various viewpoints. If you study that, all the suttas in the Satipatthana Sangyutta, then you have a much better understanding of Satipatthana than just studying the Satipatthana Sutta. So the deepest Sangyutta, I believe is the Nikaya is the Sangyutta Nikaya, and the Majjhima Nikaya also is very, very beneficial for somebody who wants to practice the Noble Eightfold Path. It also goes into detail. The least important is this of the 4 Nikayas is the Digha Nikaya. And Kudaka Nikaya, there are 15 books according to Sri Lanka and Thailand. and maybe Laos and Cambodia. But the Burmese, they added 3 more books in 1956 when they celebrated 2,500 years of the Buddha Sasana. And they know, and everybody knows that these 3 books they added are not the Buddha's words, and still they added these. That's why the other countries don't recognize. The other countries only recognize 15 books. But even then, out of the 15 books, only 6 are reliable because the 6 books in the Kutadanta Nikaya, they do not contradict the earlier 4 Nikayas. And these 6 books, I hope to talk on these 6 books after the Digha Nikaya, this Vasa. If possible, I'd like to finish all these 6 books. The 6 books are the Dhammapada, the Sutta Nipata, Udana, Itivuttaka, the Theragata, and the Therigata. Only these 6 books are important in the Kutadanta Nikaya, and some of them like the Sutta Nipata, some of the suttas there are very are among the original suttas, very old suttas. And also very, very. It's not that they are very deep, but they are very very good for a renunciant, very inspiring. Even like the Theragata and Therigata, they are very inspiring to see how the Arahants struggle. You find some of the Arahants were just like us. Their mind was giving them a lot of trouble, very disturbed mind. Somebody like Talaputta, he kept reasoning with his mind. He said, mind, you asked me to renounce, you told me when you go up the hill, stay alone, you find happiness and all that, and now you're giving me so much trouble. And he kept talking with his own mind, and finally he attained the jhanas. Even these monks who became Arahants, they had a hard time fighting with their mind to attain jhanas. But because of his good background of Dhamma, understanding of Dhamma, the moment he attained jhana, he became enlightened. So this combination of jhana plus understanding the Dhamma is is essential. Okay, here we end here.